All right, welcome back, beautiful people.
Oh my God.
A sad episode, man. I've been sad
Dude.
all day.
Man, I didn't realize it was that bad, dude. I'm sorry. Jeez. Oh, you're making me feel worse.
I'm very sad. I'm very sad.
Bad boy.
WWE was sold, and long story short, Vince is back in creative control pretty much. This doesn't really have anything. We're not really going to talk about the sale, but
Hmm.
Raw
We have one
after
for supper.
Mania happened, and it was a complete disaster. Uh, and then, more details started coming out. Basically, Triple H seems like was sent out there to say his goodbyes.
Yeah.
And then as more information came out, they like rewrote the show three times. They were cutting stuff left and right. When I say they, I think we all know who that person is now. It's a one man
Yeah.
show. Um, and I thought one of the more interesting notes to come out was that Triple H's still listed as, creative content, whatever, head of
Hmm.
creative. But he's basically, essentially just doing busy work, which
Hmm.
I don't know what that means. Fucking making copies and like getting Vince McMahon coffee and donuts. I have no idea what busy work is. So, we chatted a little bit earlier. I said I had some small sliver of hope
Yeah.
that Vince is he's in LA. Like,
Hmm.
of course he's going to stick around for Raw.
You and everyone else have that. That's what the reports were saying that, this could be a one-off. Not that exact crazy, but they're trying to say it's a one-off because the telling sign is that if he goes to Friday Night SmackDown, basically, that will be a more telling sign.
Yeah.
That
Well,
things are.
basically it's over. I have no more hope. There was a report out there that essentially for anyone that is still in some sort of denial about what's been happening,
Mhm.
basically at this point, all creative decisions go through Vince. So we're back to where we were. 9 months feels like a fever dream. And you know, I have a lot of feelings about all this.
I know
But
you do, man.
I think that the thing that has been affecting me the most is that, well, I guess it's two things. It's like the main thing is that we got a glimpse into what our future could have been, you know?
Right,
Like
right.
it's weird. It's like we got a rare look into the alternate timeline. Usually you don't get to see the alternate timeline.
No, no, you don't.
And we did. For 9 months, we got to see what it could be, or at least what we thought it was going to be.
Hmm.
And then we're right back to square one, pretty much. Same reason you and I stopped watching
Yeah.
because of the guy who was making some of the dumbest out of touch booking decisions ever. And this episode of Raw was it was such a weird headspace because I was like watching, some of it, then I was like looking at the YouTube clips and I was like, wow, this
Hmm.
sucks. Like there's like no wrestling on the show.
Yeah.
Like there was little to no follow-up on anything that happened at WrestleMania. Omos, who lost, was right back out there doing a squash match. Kevin and Sammy didn't reference the Usos at all. The team that they've been feuding with for the team that Sammy's been a
Hmm.
part of for 9 months, no reference at all. And I realized, well, because Sammy wasn't with the bloodline when Vince was in charge, or he wasn't really on screen with Roman
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly.
So uh, the show reeked of someone who had not been watching for 9 months and just came back and was like, "Yeah, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. Get these like stupid women's tag belts out of here." Um, I don't know, man. How do you feel?
Kind of numb to all this. I'm surprised you're not more numb. I guess because you went all in, I guess.
Yeah, I really liked feeling like I had WWE back.
Yeah.
And I think also because it really was great. Like not every single booking decision, not every single match, not every single episode of SmackDown and Raw, but pretty much every single pay-per-view.
Hmm.
Banger. SummerSlam was good. Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, Elimination Chamber. Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber had two of the most epic. I mean, the end of Royal Rumble is like historic,
Right.
blowing out the sound system.
Hmm.
Uh, Elimination Chamber, we had, if you're a person who breaks WrestleMania down into night one and two, we had a really good night one, and then we had a suspiciously, somewhat confusingly booked night two. Um, and yeah, now it's over. I don't know how else to say it. It's done. It's
Yeah.
done. Main roster shit, totally dead. I was watching a
Hmm.
clip of NXT, and I think some of the stuff that was setting in was like there were a lot of like small changes that happened that maybe we didn't really pay as much attention to, but I was watching Dijak on NXT, and I was like, oh yeah, he got his name back. Because
Oh
when
yeah.
Vince was running the show, he was, first of all, he was Dominic Dijakovic. So stupid. And then he was T-Bar.
Yep.
When Triple H was in charge, one of the things I said, I think that had me excited to watch again was that it felt safe to get invested. Because when he was running NXT, you could get invested because you knew he was invested. And he wanted these storylines, actual storylines, to play out just as much as the fans did. And he cared about the fans. He cared about the people who were watching. That is the number one difference between Triple H and Tony and Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about the
Mm-mm.
audience. He seemingly like hates his own product, which is just always been very confusing. Um, but I'm trying to come to grips with. I mean, probably if NXT had their own YouTube channel, I would probably unsubscribe from the WWE's YouTube because I don't care.
Wow.
I
Wow.
don't care anymore. Like the the best part of the entire Bloodline storyline came during Triple H.
For sure.
Like easily the best part of a 3-year story. It's only a 3-year story because year two was kind of a wash. Like it was really just Roman and the Usos just being a like
Unstoppable
classic,
force.
yeah, like heel tag team where the Usos were just kind of his henchmen. They didn't really have personalities.
Hmm.
And then Triple H came along and gave everybody their own personality and motivation and little
Yeah.
storylines within the bloodline. And uh yeah, that's it. And it's funny too. I was thinking like, well, if all this was going to happen anyway, maybe Triple H, he shouldn't have listened to Vince's wishes of like, well, please don't take the belt off Roman. It's
Hmm.
like he took the briefcase off Theory. I was thinking back, I'm like, should Triple H have just blown it
Hmm.
all up? Should have been like, man, fuck your wishes. Like, I'm taking the titles, I'm splitting them up, like we're ununifying them. We're not doing any of this dumb shit. And I was thinking like, nah, it wouldn't have mattered because Vince McMahon would have just like basically what he's about to do is just like blow it all up again anyway. Because he doesn't care. He doesn't
Yeah.
care that you got invested for 9 months because he wasn't there. It's like the classic Vince thing of like, if it gets over and it's not my idea, I'm gonna kill it. And I basically where we're headed. It's such a bummer, dude. Like, did you not get a little tired of like every person getting like fed up with WWE and asking for their release, and then we would have to be like, hope this guy goes to AEW, hope this person goes to New Japan. Like we're right back in the cycle. We're right back in the vicious cycle of like, hope
Yeah.
Bailey leaves, hope Bray Wyatt gets out because he's never gonna be on TV again as long as
Hmm.
Vince is there. Like,
Yeah. I mean, it was very tiring. Like us repeating the same thing of like, oh, I hope he goes to AEW. I hope he gets his release. It was all just tiring, man. Like it's yeah, this is just it's annoying. It's annoying like that we have to accept this when not just accept like that there's no reasoning either. You know, like there's no middle ground for for WWE, especially when Vince is in charge. I don't know how Daniel Bryan ever became a champion with Vince in charge. Um, it's one of those rare instances, you know, just like Ray being a champion.
yeah.
Um, I don't know even how Eddie ever became champion. I mean, I just think maybe Vince and Eddie did have a relationship eventually. That helped, you know, help that wound up helping him, you know, get to the top
Hmm.
and eventually get back there. Unfortunately, never happened because he did pass away. Um, yeah, I mean, TV deals, I guess, also change things, and other deals change things in the way that this man has, you know, essentially created wrestling for a modern audience slash also for yeah, for I guess, you know, he's created wrestling in a more mainstream way because, you know,
Yeah.
it's a fucking it's a public company or what, and it's now even bigger than before because he helped, quote unquote, helpful facilitate. Who knows how much, you know, he actually
Yeah.
helped. I mean, he is buddies with Dana, so I mean, it must not really be hard to go and talk to the owners of Endeavor or, you know, the company Endeavor and
I
say,
thought they
hey,
hated each other.
no, no, no,
He
no,
put Dana White in the nosebleeds for WrestleMania.
no, him and Dana are cool.
Okay.
So
That's a
yeah, it's
little hard to
just
believe.
it is tiring, and I'm like, I'm not gonna put myself through the stages of grief. Like, I don't know. Have you felt angry yet? Like for you, I'm just like, I don't care. I don't care anymore. It is what it is. I don't have to
No,
watch it, and I'm just gonna not. If something good's happening, then I'll watch it. If it's true that, you know, Trips is gonna be still in charge with having to please an old man and finally coming to, especially an old man who's come to grips that facial hair is okay because he didn't want the facial hair to win.
yeah.
And like I guess he let the facial hair win, but I guess in turn he's gonna win too. Like I guess he's got to please that man's ego in some
I
way to keep him
mean,
happy.
I don't know. I don't feel angry. I feel defeated. I feel like this thing that I care about was already, I was so beaten down as a wrestling fan. I think I was thinking back to like when we first got back into it with NXT Takeover. It was all Triple H based.
Hmm.
Like like the
And
reason I
SmackDown
got back into
and
wrestling was
SmackDown.
because of the promotion Triple H was in charge of. And then, you know, we tried to sort of get into the main roster stuff, but it was so frustrating. There were so many feuds that just like
Hmm.
it seemed like if anyone with a brain was booking them. I mean, I hate to keep coming back to Luke Harper should have been part of the WrestleMania match between Orton and Bray, but
Hmm.
it just that felt like to me that felt like the moment where I was like, yeah, I think I'm out. Like I'm not gonna NXT for sure, but like the main roster stuff is if this is the guy in charge, this is so stupid. I can't pay attention.
Hmm.
And I basically didn't pay attention for a very long time. I knew everything going on in NXT, but did not pay attention to main roster stuff. And that just, you know, because NXT felt safe. It felt like I could get invested in, you know,
Hmm.
Keith Lee's rise to becoming like you know, North American and NXT champ, or I could get invested in Ciampa and Gargano or Adam Cole, and like,
Yeah.
and these things would matter. And with Vince, they don't matter because he literally changes his mind on the day. Like during the show, he will change his mind on
He
something.
did. It's definitely true that he was back because how many times? I think it was like three times it changed, and like once during the show.
Yeah, 3 times in 45 minutes, they handed off a new script. Uh, yeah, I just feel defeated. I'm bummed out. It really seemed like I was thinking back to when we first had this news, and I feel awful for the people that Vince did things to because he's a disgusting human,
Hmm.
total trash bag.
Yeah.
But it really felt like we got him, man. Really felt like we got him. It was like, boy, this guy's immortal. So, clearly and he's going to run the company until he's in the ground. So he's not going to just retire. But it felt like when those stories came out, it was like, dude, he's gone.
Yeah.
Like he can't come back. Like he can be the shareholder and keep collecting checks and all that, but like there's no way he's coming back. And it seems like yeah, it was all a dream and I guess it blew over. I really it is puzzling because I don't get it. I really don't get
Hmm.
how he is back publicly. But then again, they got sold to the same company that lets Dana White still be president of the UFC. So
Hmm.
pretty low bar over there at Endeavor in terms of who's running the companies. Uh,
Yeah, but one thing I'll say that that could work in the favor is that declining ratings won't help. So if Vince really is back in charge and he's putting up a shitty product, I think Endeavor will listen because before Vince answered to no one, and yes, he doesn't have to answer to no one in this situation, but when it comes to deals, television, and ratings, this is different. This is a whole new ball game, especially with an actual sports company, not a sports entertainment company, a sports company that is very reliant on gate attendance, uh, press, and all that. Something's not good. Something's not good. Like if Dana thinks you're a boring fighter, uh, you're you've been blessed, son. You've been blessed in the wrong ways, and his the higher ups recognize that. So Ari, who's going to be in charge essentially on that side of WWE, uh, might just see like yo, what's up with your fans? They hate this shit. And then
yeah,
yeah, I mean it's if they're smart, they'll look on the internet if they know what's good for them, they won't listen to whatever Vince is vomiting out of his mouth. Oh,
right.
well, they don't know what they want.
You would
Uh,
hope that like they would see 99% of the feedback being this guy's a fucking moron.
mhm.
And they wouldn't trust the 1%, which is coming from the fucking moron saying that no, 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 it's all the other people that are fucking idiots. They don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I did want to say it was one interesting note about the sale was that Vince's majority voting rights are gone. So hypothetically speaking, if someone else came forward about something that he did,
Hmm.
they could oust him from the company and he would not be able to get back in. Hypothetically speaking, because the way he got back in the first place
It's
was that
because
he
he was
had the
majority.
majority
Yeah.
voting rights. So he refused to approve any future deals because he was like, well, without me, we're not making any deals anyway.
Hmm.
But those are gone now. So it's like, man, I mean, that's the only hope is that this guy has some other fucked up past that like kicks him out. I feel
Yeah.
bad for like the women in the back, the wrestlers, the workers who now this like disgusting creep comes back in, puffing his chest out because he got $9 billion for his company.
Hmm.
And it's just yeah, this shit sucks, man. This all this sucks. No more wrestling. I mean, it was there were multiple times over the last 9 months where I tuned in live to
Yeah.
SmackDown or Raw for a match that was advertised because I was excited to see it. Like Cody versus Finn Balor, Johnny Gargano versus Chad Gable, Walter versus Braun Strowman. Like there were some great matches on TV, which we almost never got when Vince McMahon was running things because
Yeah.
wrestling was like 2 minutes of, well, he didn't even say wrestling, but like 2 minutes of a match and then it would be over.
Mm-hmm.
Some shitty, dumb finish that didn't make any sense. And every week would be a rematch and another rematch. People that lost matches would just all of a sudden get another shot at the title, which is just not how it should work. Um, I felt like even punctuated by Cody literally coming out to start the show and being like, I want a rematch. You lost. That's not how we do it in Triple H land. We don't just hand out rematches.
Right.
Kevin Owens lost a Royal Rumble. He didn't immediately challenge at Elimination Chamber. It but Vince, that's how he does shit. It because he's uncreative and total idiot. I don't know how else to say it. Guy's
Complete
been out
idiot.
of touch for years, decades. And unfortunately, this guy who has, this company, which arguably has the most talented roster of wrestlers in the world, is hamstrung by one of the stupidest people who could possibly be in charge. And I was talking to you earlier, and I was like, I don't even know why he wants to still be in charge. He's like 80 years old. He just got $9 billion, valued, whatever, for his company. Go home. Like, what are you still, what's left? What's left to prove, man? What is still driving you to fucking even show up for these shows?
Just
I
think
I don't get it.
yeah.
I don't get it. Dude, this guy is ancient. He's clearly having some sort of three-quarters life crisis where he dyes his hair brown and has a mustache now, which I think is honestly Vince trying to. I think he's so far gone that he thinks if he grew the mustache and dyed his hair, people wouldn't know it was really him. Like, it's, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But I think also I feel um for a lot of the people who got back into wrestling over the last 9 months, like a lot of the people who
Mm-hmm.
got invested in the Bloodline story, or maybe they got invested in Dominic Mysterio turning into this like ridiculous hardened criminal after one
Mm-hmm.
night in county jail. There were so many positives that came out of those 9 months, and a lot of people
Yeah.
got back into paying attention to WWE because it was like, oh, it's fresh now. Like there's a guy in charge who actually cares about the product,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel bad for those people because in the event that maybe you were gone for, let's say, like 10 years prior to the last 9 months, and then you came
Mm-hmm.
back for those 9 months, it's going to get really bad. Like, just stop watching because, like, the last 9 months are officially an outlier. Those will not happen again until Vince is gone. Um, that's it. It's over. Like the TV matches that you would look forward to, the pay-per-views making sense, having like, match cards that weren't like 12 matches long and like a 3-hour pre-show. All that shit is done. Like
Mm-hmm.
get used to seeing the Sammy and Kevin on the pre-show of Backlash. Get used to that. Get used to Gunther, Walter, whatever they're gonna call him now. He's getting buried. Pete Dunne's getting his name taken away again. All the stuff that Triple H was trying to slowly fix out the window. That's what sucks. Is that like I could see the foundation being set. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was looking ahead like 5 years. I was like, man, if this is where we are after 9 months, imagine 5 years from now. Like when NXT call ups were finally going to make sense. It was like, this guy's going to be a monster in NXT, and then you're going to call him up and he's going to be a monster on the main roster. You're not going to
Mm-hmm.
immediately make him feud with Dolph Ziggler and get pinned 6 times. And, before you know it, he's 24/7 champion. Like, we're not going to have any more Ricochet situations. We're not going to have any more Johnny Gargano situations, who Vince called up in the middle of a blood feud and didn't do anything with him.
Nope.
And it's a bummer that that is all gone. And I really love wrestling. And I love a lot of the wrestlers in the WWE. And I feel bad for them. The stories you're hearing about morale being really low. You make a good point, man. I wonder if Endeavor gives a shit. I wonder how plugged in they are to any of this, or if they are just sticking their head in the sand and shaking hands with Vince and being like, "Oh, great deal. We're excited, blah blah blah, corporate, blah
Hmm.
blah." Because if you go on the internet for 5 seconds, everybody is like, Vince McMahon fucking sucks. So, like, if you're the company that just made a deal with this guy, you'd have to be completely dense to think it was a good idea to keep him around. I don't know what went on behind the scenes.
Hmm.
I don't know maybe Vince was like, well, if you want me to go away, then you have to give me a, severance bonus of like $3 billion, or, some like stupid number that he knew they would never agree to.
Hmm.
But because we know that Nick Khan and Triple H both got huge fat bonuses. Nick Khan got $10 million. Triple H got $5 million bonus to basically push papers around now and make copies in the break room, um, hang out by craft services. I mean, I don't know how much Vince asked for, but I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to get him to go away and he wanted too much money and they were like, you know what? You're 78. Maybe we'll just wait this out. It's also
Yeah.
worth noting Vince is on a 2-year contract because he is employed by somebody now. So maybe they were like, look, we're gonna just kind of eat this for 2 years, and hopefully within that time, Triple H doesn't leave and start his own company because we want to bring him in once Vince's contract is up. Because once
Right.
Vince's contract is up, he can't re-sign himself. He has to negotiate with Endeavor. And if they're looking at TV ratings and they're like, wait a minute, from this exact date, the TV ratings are a steady decline. And when Triple H was in charge, they were on the increase. Get the fuck out. Like, we don't want you here anymore. So I don't know. But for the next 2 years at least, I don't give a shit. I don't care about any of these stories anymore because I know the guy who's going to be booking them also doesn't care. They
Yeah.
weren't, they weren't anything that, he wanted to bury Walter. So the
Yeah, he
fact that
did.
Walter is like, what, 3 months away from breaking the Honky Tonk Man's record? Yeah, no chance. No chance that that's going to happen. Not if Vince is in charge. He didn't want Walter to be champion in the first place.
Well, he let him be champion, but he was gonna take it off of him.
Yeah, 3-week push.
Something.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of wasted potential. Uh, Probably a lot of feuds that we've already seen before. Get ready for Brock and Roman again.
This time without not for a title, because he
Nah.
can't challenge for it.
Yes, he can.
Oh yeah.
Nah,
I
change
did.
my mind. Change my mind. It's Vince McMahon. So, like, forget logic. Whatever. See, this is the thing. Is like I think that now 9 months of logic has like confused people. Of like
Hmm.
anything that is said on TV doesn't matter. None of it matters. This guy is changing the script during the show. So what if Brock came out and they were like, "Oh, they'll come up with, oh, the match didn't start, so technically that doesn't count anymore." Like, it doesn't matter. None of it matters, and it sucks that it doesn't matter. But I know a lot of people are feeling very frustrated right now, similar to us. Maybe you're, you know, not as like crazy at the moment, or people are all dealing with different sorts of emotions over this because Vince McMahon does that to people. But it seems like the vast majority want him to go away forever. Um,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not going to happen.
No.
So part of this is just kind of trying to accept that we are we are back to square one. Shitty booking. None of it's going to make
Yeah.
sense. The bloodline story is not going to make sense. Even Cody, it's like, should Cody have won if Triple H knew Vince was going to take the company back? It's like, no, because Cody would have gotten pinned yesterday. He would have just lost the title to Roman, or he would have lost to Brock
Hmm.
Lesnar. Like, wouldn't have mattered. So yeah, it sucks. And I have no silver linings other than Vince is on a 2-year deal, and hopefully they get rid of him after that. Or hopefully Triple H starts his own wrestling company because I'd definitely watch that.
King of Games Wrestling. Gonna happen.
Yeah.
Time to play the game, baby.
Uh, well, that's all for today, guys. WWE is dead in memoriam. Go watch
Makes sense.
AEW because they actually wrestle on that show.
And Impact.
Yeah, there's a
MLW
lot of
too.
there's a lot of good alternatives. It's just that most of the guys that I like don't wrestle in any of those companies. So it's gonna be a shame to not get to watch these guys do what they do best anymore. But hey, maybe they'll go to AEW confirmed.
Maybe they will.
Well, that's all. And talk to you guys in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.